back. It's your girl Mounas, and I am so happy to be welcoming my friend. I think he's my little brother. I don't know if he's that much younger than me, but my little brother. It's amazing to see how he has grown from who I used to know that was this high to all this up here, ladies, and all of this right here.
That's hilarious.
Amadou Ly. Amadou, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy that you're joining me to talk.
Hey, whatever sis wants, sis get, right?
Right, yeah, that's
the word.
So we're meeting again, once again, my 221 Afrique friends, to talk about returning home. Mm-hmm. And Amadou and I go way back. But sometimes you might go way back and you might not really know the intricacies or the details of somebody's life. Right? And so sometimes there's some pieces that you gotta have a sit down and reflect a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing today.
Let's do it.
Because you've returned home.
I'm home, Senegal.
Okay. And what was that journey like?
Coming back?
Mm-hmm.
It was a surprise. Okay. It wasn't at first, it wasn't something that I said that I was going to do. I was actually coming for a vacation. And once I got here, I realized that I was missing home. That I needed to recharge. I missed the soil and the food, the people, the freedom.
The food before you want to say, parce que t'as rien, you do a chocolate.
Here, I go into that thing. I love that thing, man. I know, I need to. I'm sorry, people are looking at me too hard. I said, sorry, I got it.
Nobody knows what I
got it. That's funny. Third time this week. I got you. Yeah.
But that's something that you definitely miss when you don't have it as regularly in the U.S. or Europe.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a bit. Right? Because the present is you're here. Mm-hmm. And you missed home, which is why you came back. Mm-hmm. And the return was unexpected, which has been the theme of the day, actually. Unexpected things leading to beautiful opportunities. Mm-hmm. When did you go to the U.S.? Or were you originally of the U.S.? What's your story?
I was born here in Senegal.
Boy town. Okay.
I was born in Pekin. I was born in the banlieue.
Okay.
Urban.
Hood. Okay.
But hood with flavor.
Why Pekin? Why?
Let's get it straight. We set the trends up in here, so just for the record. So I left from Senegal to America at 13. Mm-hmm. And then from there, lived in New York, which is where we met. Mm-hmm. And once I got... No, you look beautiful. One would think that you're actually,
15.
15. Fortune and a half, I was going to say.
Merci beaucoup, I'll take it.
But yeah, so I got to New York, and that's when, I got to New York September 13th, the next day, September 11th. So that sort of changed the trajectory of what that trip was going to be.
Yeah.
With my mother. And at 14, I started living with myself, making ends meet.
So let's talk about that a little bit, right? September 13th was when you arrived. Mm-hmm. 2 days before was September 11th.
September 10th.
September 10th was when you arrived. Yeah. September 11th, the next day, 2001, which has and will never be, which has never been and will never be forgotten by our American comrades. How did that change what you had heard about the U.S. versus the reality when you got there?
First of all, when I got in, I got to Harlem, and I saw this homeless person pushing this carts like a supermarket, and I first of all, I was surprised because when you're in Senegal and you're watching America, you only see Beverly Hills and you see all these different places. I had no idea there were homeless people in America.
It's the land of milk and honey.
Yeah, listen. So that alone was a wake up call. But also, you know, when September, like the next day after I got in, I remember waking up and watching the TV and switching through the channels, and I'm seeing this one building that each and every channel is showing. And I said, Americans are boring. This is what they show in the morning. And then
you're also 13 years old.
And no English.
Right.
No English too. So, and I remember just calling my mother. Well, no, actually what happened is we were on our way to 125th, and we met my mother's friend who said, "You guys heard what happened?" I said, my mom was like, "What?" There's no, not just there's an attack. There is the buildings are on fire, and it almost felt unreal because at that time too, people were screaming outside. So when we walked downstairs, people were outside. They were, you know, talking. People were acting a little bit not cool. You know, and it changed our lives forever. You know, as a result of that, actually, the businesses my mother had went south because she had a store in 116th Street, and it wasn't doing well because after September 11th, you know, everybody talking about the war. Bush was like, we're
gonna
attacking.
go to war. We're gonna get them.
You know, like, Muslims.
Guys, anybody with a Muslim name?
And I have a Muslim. And I have a Muslim name. Amadou, Mohammed, all of that. Man, crazy, man. Yeah.
So your mom's business, all of a sudden, because part of her bringing you to the U.S. is this idea that you're going to come to the U.S. Your life is going to be a little bit different than what it was in Picking the Bone. She's an independent businesswoman. You're coming into someone who has an entrepreneurial spirit, who sort of had their own, working it out, and now the business isn't working like it was before. I imagine at the age of 13, that must have been a huge weight, or not, on your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing her struggle during that time, and I think being at that age as a man.
But you were a young man.
Yeah, but
13.
you know, I think early on when you're born in Senegal, you know, you're taught that, you know, and I'm my mom's only boy, so you're taught that, you know, you're supposed to take care of your family early on. So it wasn't easy watching that, and I couldn't wait to be able to be in a situation where I can, you know, help however I can. So.
Okay. So mom's business is not going well. You're 13. You're new to this country. Now what?
Well, I ended up living because my mom ended up having to come back to Senegal.
Okay.
And I lived with her friend in Indianapolis.
Which is whiter than white.
Which is whiter than white.
It's not like New York.
Absolutely not. But that didn't last long because she sort of threw me out when I was, you know, after six months after I was there, I think. So then I had to go back to New York and started, you know, hustling in the streets. You know, I started doing odd jobs and to find, you know, to
make ends meet.
Feed myself.
Yeah.
But I was blessed enough to met some amazing friends that turned into my brothers, that in a way adopted me, you know, took me in and showed me the way, took care of me, and I'm forever grateful for that.
I want to back up a bit. We talked a little bit about you came to the U.S., the land of milk and honey, you know. With the that was really, truly, that's what people thought the U.S. was.
Yeah.
You come, you're 13, young, even if you were told these things back home, really, you're a young man who's still trying to figure out who you are. Coming into this new culture, trying to figure out your identity in that new culture as well. You're Muslim in a time when Muslims was not popular in the U.S. And now you are in Indiana, whiter than white, and it doesn't go well. You don't end up living there too long, and now you're by yourself. How did you manage? Because that's not the story that people hear when you think about America.
You know, I still trying to wonder how I made those, how I overcome. But I think it was just God. But part of it too is that when I was in Senegal, I had a hustle spirit already built in me, because I used to go to these supermarkets and I would like tell these, you know, shoppers, let me hold your bag and then you give me, you know, 25 judo, you know what I mean? So in a way, Senegal unintentionally prepared me for America.
Well, for the life that you were gonna encounter.
So during that time, once I got back to New York, my hustle mode was on. You know, I was trying to figure out what I could sell, you know, whether it's clothing or hand out flyers to attract different sellers and for different stores. And I was away. So I did that for until I was 16, and then I caught an immigration case. You know, I was like, man.
Akon made that famous, huh? A long, you know. So.
Yeah.
An immigration case at 16. Mom is back home. You have those brothers that, shout out to your brothers. Shout out to your brothers who were there for you. And all of a sudden now there's this immigration case. So let me backtrack a bit, because I don't know that people really understand. I want them to. When we talk about hustle, we're not talking about selling drugs. We're not talking about things that you see glorified in the hustler sort of Black American culture. We're talking about hustle in the sense of trying to make a way for yourself where there is not. That's the term that we're talking about here. Just I want to make sure that that's clear. So you called this immigration case. So what was that about?
Well, I was heading to Detroit, and we got into a car accident. This truck sort of hit our SUV, and then the patrol officer, state trooper came, and then the first thing he did was like, you know, you guys, because he looked at us and he's like, is there any drugs in the car? Because we were a bunch of Black men.
And he was white?
He was white.
Okay.
And the truck driver, the one that
hit you?
Yes, was a white person.
Who was the one at fault?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so it was one of those things. It was very unfortunate. So he was like, is there any drugs in the car? We were like, absolutely not. He said, are you guys, because he sensed our accents. Like, there was 3 of us from Senegal. And he asked if we were illegal. And I was like, man, listen, I'm injured. I need to get to the hospital.
Right.
You're asking way too much questions. I need an ambulance over here, officer.
Right.
And then, you know, we ended up going to the hospital. But even at the hospital, before our visit, before we see any doctors, he was like, you know, we're gonna take you guys in to the station. And at the station, they took us in at the station. They handed us over to the immigration authorities, and all I remember was that jail being very cold.
So you're in a car accident. You're 14, 15 years old. You're injured. You don't know what the situation is. You know, things are still new for you. And I would imagine at that age, your idea of the police, if you're looking at it from a Senegalese point of view even, is to serve and protect in a sense, right? And here are these officers who are, okay, you have no papers, we're gonna take you in. What is the process of taking you in? Did they handcuff you?
Yeah, hands and my legs as well.
So legs handcuffed.
Legs handcuffed.
Arms handcuffed.
Yeah.
Like a criminal.
Absolutely.
And 14, 15 years old, you're now thrown into a jail cell. How long were you there?
24 hours.
Okay.
They couldn't release me because, as you know, my mother was in there, but they needed a guardian.
Okay. Because you were underage, yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, a friend of my mother signed off so they can release me, and then they put me in a van, drove me from Pittsburgh, which is where the accident happened, to New York, and then that's how the whole immigration, the removal proceedings started. You know what's funny? Throughout that whole process, there was a belief in me that I wasn't going to get deported.
Okay. So that strong internal self-belief. That instinct.
It was like there was something in me, looking back, that's like I just never processed it. But, you know, so that immigration removal proceeding lasted for 2 years, and it ended by me being in high school and focusing, you know, trying to get some good grades, because there were moments where I had to go to court and I couldn't afford a lawyer. So, and I remember the judge looking at me like, next time you come over here with no attorney, you're gonna represent yourself. And I was like, is that a threat? And I sure did. So little bit, you know, while in high school, this guy, Chris Breton, came to my school, and white guy, Chris Breton, came to our school. And I remember walking out of math class, and I'm like, who's that white person talking to all these kids? and you know, he's served by all these people, and he's trying to pitch them something. He's pitching them this idea of building a robot. We're in Harlem. We're like, that's not popular.
It's not common.
It's not common.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to be in whatever he's trying to do.
Right.
So I said, look, man, I'm really good at math. And I speak French. How about that? You know what I mean? He's like, all right, write your name. So I wrote my name down. 2 weeks later, he called me. He's like, look, man, I think I'm going to recruit you for this robotic team. I said, ooh, man, bet.
That's still the hustle mentality, though. To me, when I hear that, it's like you're selling yourself based on these skills that you have, and you're not even sure where this guy's going to take you, but he looked like he got a little bit of money. He looked like he came from someplace. Must be better than where I was. Let me try to get in. So it's still, I like that at that moment, even though things were falling apart in other parts of your life, you still were like, no. Like, I'm going to get out of this. This is not a permanent situation.
Yeah. I like your earring. But yes, that's exactly what happened. I think, you know, it was just the idea of engineering, of computer science and all those different things was something that my mother wanted me to do. That was, because even when I was younger, I used to open watches and radios, although I can't fix them. At times I would, but most of the time I wouldn't. So that idea was already embedded in me. So when he came, I was like, oh, this is what I've always wanted to do. So then when I signed up and we started working on building the robots, it was just a dream becoming true. And then we had to compete with all these schools that are like these elite schools, you know, parents with
a lot of money.
Loads of money.
Yeah, private schools, yeah.
Private schools. And we, you know, but one thing that we had was we were failures. I was like, I don't know, nobody's smarter than I. So I'm just going to do what I do.
Africans in general, no matter where you come from on the continent, are generally fearless when they leave the continent. I don't know what it is. It's like when you're in front of all this stuff, it's like, no, I can do it. So you guys are fearless. You're competing against all the best of the best. You're a team with no experience, no money, no experience. And what happened?
Well, we ended up winning. We didn't just win. We took a bunch of different awards. Rookie of the Year. We just cleaned house. It was a clean house.
Wow.
And I think part of the reason why we won was observation. You know what I mean? We were able to observe what the weaknesses of other teams
exploit it.
and exploit it. And another thing too is that they cared about those teams were worrying about getting to the final and what would happen to their robot in case they mess up their robots. We were like, we're just trying to get to the final first.
Right.
Then we worry about this. And it worked out, you know. But winning that meant I had to go to my team and I had to go to Atlanta. But I couldn't fly because immigration took all my papers. So, you know, my legal aid lawyer, which I ended up working with, Amy Messenson, may she rest in peace. Amy actually decided that there was no hope for me.